So I finally beat Consort Radahn, and with that I have beaten every major boss in Elden Ring, including Shadow of the Erdtree. Overall, it's a great expansion, but it does have one pretty big problem, and I don't know if people mostly talk about the real one or imaginary ones. Now first, I want to point out the good thing about the DLC. It's a massive pile of content, about the same level of quality as the base game. Like, this is no mere DLC, this is a whole ass expansion pack. Remember expansion packs? That's what we called it back in the day when you bought a whole extra disc for your game. And that disc had a content pack on it that made it worth putting it on a whole ass disc and distributing it via brick and mortar shops. You could not get away with some cosmetic bullshit or a couple of extra missions and get people's money for it. Shadow of the Erdtree has a massive map with dozens of areas, bosses, new weapons, spells, everything. I think I put like 60 hours in it. Half of them probably on practicing bosses, but that's still a lot. And it wasn't pointless busy work, it was the full Elden Ring quality. So now that I'm going to bitch about it, I want everyone to be aware that this is coming from a place of love, and very few games have come close to the overall enjoyment that I got from this one DLC. So, a lot of people have complained about this or that major boss being bullshit. This is nothing new, there have always been bullshit bosses in between the good ones. Personally, I really enjoyed Rellana, Mesmer, and Midra, but I think Gaia's Bale and Meteor were total bullshit. Your opinion probably differs. It just depends which bosses you jive with more. One thing that they pretty much all have in common though, is that if you get all the Erdtree fragments, they become not very hard. I mean, Gaius was still a bitch. For him you need Light Roll and then you're fine. I found that out deep in some Reddit thread full of complaints. I don't know why only one dude knew that, but thank you, dude. Anyway, generally it seems that you're simply encouraged to explore more and bash your head against the bosses less. And here's my main problem. The exploration is ass. There are huge territories hidden behind the most easily missable passages. One was a literal secret. You had to hit a fake wall. Another was in a tiny crevice in a field of random junk. I'm not talking about Easter eggs here. There were major fucking bosses behind these. Never mind the Erdtree fragments. There is no way to tell what you have explored properly and what you haven't. If you want to get all the content and all the fragments without using a guide, you will have to autistically comb every pixel of the giant ass map. This is not fun for a normal person, this is ass. Fortunately, there are abnormal people who do comb the whole map, or maybe they data mine the files, I don't fucking know, and then they create guides and post them online. These people are the best. It's only because of their work that the DLC is actually good and fun to play. You just have to open a guide on your second monitor, which you obviously have because you're a normal person playing on a PC, and then follow it to get all the fragments, and along the way you will also find all the major areas. So yeah, this isn't quite Bethesda level of expecting players to finish your game for you, but it's definitely a giant flaw. It was kind of there in the base game, but it wasn't as pronounced. Like, even if you missed a major area, you weren't then essentially under-leveled for half of the endgame bosses. And that is where a lot of those complaints ultimately came from. The DLC tricked people into being under-leveled. Now, the boss that absolutely tops the list of complaints is Consort Radahn. That's probably because he's still super fucking hard even if you are of the proper level, that is maxed or almost maxed fragments. Personally, I was fighting him with fragment level 19, and it took me more than 10 hours to beat him. Well, spread over multiple days, but like more than 10 hours of gameplay. Now, I don't think he's totally fair, there's some bullshit combos, but I also think he's generally a pretty good boss, and the difficulty is expected for the Omega Final DLC boss. I went to fight Malenia afterwards for comparison, and Consort Radahn has nothing on her. Well, aside from his health pool. He has a giant health pool. But he's much slower, much less aggressive, even in phase 2. He's more consistent, he doesn't do fuck you and rages and flurries, and most importantly, he doesn't have anything even approaching the absolute bullshit of Waterfall Dance. Every move can be at least mostly managed with mid-roll. You can see in this video my winning try, and it's not even close to perfect. It's a messy ass attempt and it was good enough. It's probably attempt number 200 or something, and all along I was slowly getting better and better at managing all his moves and closer to killing him. With Malenia, the first time around, I had fucking mastered everything except Waterfowl, maybe 2 hours in, and then I needed 6 more for a lucky try to kill her. It was miserable to ace 50 moves in a row and then just get shit on. Radahn doesn't do that. Radahn's a bro. So those are about the main things I wanted to say. DLC is awesome, you just have to use a guide to get all the fragments. Bosses vary in quality as usual, but they're all worth it. And Consort Radahn's a good boss.